Unicorns of Love, PoE, and Chachi.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Great cast on the day. Now, I'm with the Unicorns of Love here, Power of Evil and Chachi. It wouldn't be a best of 5 without it going to 5th game for the Unicorns. Now, we saw this in spring as well when you had like an average split, you came into playoffs and you just blew everyone away. Why are you so much better in those best of 5s?
Well, so I think we have a really huge champion pool, so in playoffs we can try out stuff, as example, the Varus AD carry. You can just take the risk instead of best of 1s where normally every win counts. So I think in best of 5 you have more diversity of going for some picks.
Okay, well, I actually want to follow up on diversity because we saw the Victor from specifically you, Power of Evil. We haven't seen that through the entire split. Were you holding that back? Were you holding that to the chest and now bring it out now?
So since 1 week or 1.5, I started practicing it more and trying to pick it up in my champion pool because it's like a really good mid laner, and I actually like these control mages. At the start I didn't think he's my style, but yeah, he's actually, and I had fun.
Okay, so I need to follow up on Kallistra as well because we saw this in the match. I actually want to aim this at you, Chachi, because we saw you guys move away from it, and then you were actually really thinking about it in one of those games, and then moved away from it. Why exactly was that?
We actually changed our plan for the 5th game to like ban out the Kalista because we felt like it was a major force in their 3rd and 4th game. And we felt like we could risk leaving the Janna open because then we can get a poke-heavy style as well, or something like that, with fit pushing, and we can break them that way as well. So majorly that. We didn't want to face Kalista anymore in the 5th game.
Yeah, well, it definitely worked out in the end game. So moving forwards now, you're going to be facing Fnatic in a best of 5. How do you think that matchup's going to go? They're still undefeated. Are the Unicorns going to be the ones to upset them this time around in summer?
It will be definitely closer than our last game against them because it's going to be a best of 5 series, and there's a lot of preparation coming into the matches. For our last game, we prepared not that much, and we can specifically prepare for them for the next week. So I think it will be a closer series, and I think we will take at least 1 game off of them.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Congratulations once again on the win today, gentlemen. We're going to shoot it over to the analyst desk to take a look at that amazing series.
Thank you so much, Pulse. We're just going to talk a little bit more about that series. And remember that the NALCS is coming up in just a little bit with Gravity versus TSM. Hold tight. We do have to wrap up this series because it was an amazing series. Started off very, very active, then a little slumping game 4 maybe that the teams were both scared. And then what did it come down to in this game? Let's look at the picks and bans quickly and talk over the adaptations. Of course, we talked a lot about the Kalista, the Maokai.
I think the mind game started though with the Varus. We sat here, as soon as it got locked in, we were talking like, why on earth would you pick your mid laner there? We kind of were thinking, you know, it's likely to drop down to the AD carry. It looked like Roccat read that. Unicorns, I think, were trying to bait Roccat into a Yasuo setup and then had something in the bag and ended up very quickly changing their strategy. You heard Vizicsacsi actually talking about how they changed their strategy for Game 5 as well.
Right, but even though it's going to be like a untraditional AD carry, it fits the style of Vardax in this team. Again, it adds a lot of utility. He's not going to be the main carry, so I like that adaptation for Unicorns of Love. But also, I mean, look at just the pick and ban here. I quite liked what Roccat brought to the table. They got the Maokai pick, which I felt was so important for Steve. You had the same mid-game spike with double Trinity Force on both Nuke Dog and Mr. Rallis. But there were just some very key mistakes in the game here that Unicorns punished him for. Like, again, we have the lane swap going on, where instead of Vander staying with Steve in the bottom lane to just defend under this tower here, and basically it's so difficult to dive those two guys with the, obviously the Braum passive, Maokai getting a few levels, he invades into his own jungle to start a fight, which leaves Steve on his own. So there's an opening now for 4 members to kill him. And that gives a few early kills over to Unicorns. And that kind of starts the whole snowball, which became a big, big problem.
But that snowball got expanded at the Baron. You know, from the Baron, what it allowed the Unicorns to do is get the Orianna rolling. Let that power dip that normally is there just get completely expanded on. So, you know, Orianna on 3 items already was around 700 AP. So that allowed them to get towards that late game scaling.
I just want to super quick talk about this Orianna build because
Sure it's going to be quick?
I really, no, it's not going to be quick. It's probably going to take a while. But anyway, I really like the build because what he did, so you go Athenes first. Normally, he's like to go tier first, but it makes you way too weak in the early stages. You have no impact. So he goes Athenes, and then because they pick up this Baron here, what you can do is you can get Tia and then early Seraph as well, because he gives higher base amount of AP compared to before. So he used that and the Baron buff to stack it up super fast, reach a late game point where he was insanely strong, and it was beautiful because his Shockwave in the mid lane was part of also really turning this in favor of Unicorn.
Yeah, and at the end of the day in a 5th game set, you saw as well, okay, good decision making by the Dragons. UOL at one point peeling off of the Dragon, that early Baron. It is an evolution, and they held it together in this game 5. Heartbreaking for Roccat though. We also want to crown an MVP in today's set, and we really saw one player go huge to bring their team to the semis, making the clutch engages all day long. I don't know why. To bring the Unicorns to victory, our player of the series is a support. Hylissang, you could have said, okay, Vizicsacsi in this last game, Power of Evil did really well, but he was really the catalyst in a lot of these games.
Especially the first 2 games.
Yeah.
If we remember all the way back, the roam at the beginning of the first game completely set the pace for Hylissang. That was what we expected from him from spring. Didn't see it all that much in summer. Looks like a tentative return to form, but I'm not going to sign that check quite yet.
But he really needs to keep the high level going.
Yes.
He wants to beat out Yellow Star in a week, because that's going to be the big thing now for Unicorns of Love. Again, you made it to the top 4. That's huge, especially in terms of going to Worlds, to championship points and everything. But Fnatic are waiting.
Fnatic are waiting, so let's take a look at the bracket because the quarterfinals here are done in the European LCS. So let's check that out. Fnatic, of course, and Unicorns of Love are semifinal in Origin versus H2K. Very important in here is also the championship points, because the UOL with this, they stay on par with H2K, ahead of them even.
Yes, they stay on par, and the really interesting thing now is if the highest seeded teams in the semis win, that being Fnatic and Origin, it would set us up for a potential 3rd place game with Worlds implications, because that is the battle for the highest point. So unless some, unorthodox things happen, we obviously have to play the semis
Origin
out first.
H2K is going to be really
right.
Yeah.
There's so many hype matches, but that would be a real barn burner of a game.
Yeah, and that brings us to the next step on the journey to Worlds 2015. The European LCS semifinals are going to kick off next Saturday at 5 p.m. Central European Time, 8 a.m. Pacific. Origin will take on H2K as our first semifinal. It'll be followed by the NALCS semis, where CLG will face Team Impulse over in LA. So a lot to go there. Very exciting. And we'll stress Wednesday, there's also something on stake.
There's a little thing on stake on Wednesday, and that is the automatic promotion spot for, the LCS Spring Split for 2016. So it will be the Challenger Series finals. We'll have mousesports taking on Team Dignitas EU. That'll be live from the LCS studio itself. So I'm really hyped for these 2 teams to meet it. There's the potential for an upset. Mouse upset gamers too. Now we'll see if they can do it against Team Dignitas.
Yeah, we'll all be here to cover the action.
Yeah,
you good?
all of us
all right.
will be on the analyst desk. It's going to be great.
Anyway, that's it. The first round of the summer playoffs wrapped up here in Berlin. And we're finally going to hand it over to Dash and the gang in North America for their second playoff quarterfinal match between Gravity and Team Solomid. Stay tuned. On behalf of myself and everyone here at the European LCS, thank you for joining us. And we'll see you a little further down the road to the summer finals.